Welcome back, everybody, to the Crypto Conversion Podcast. As usual, this is your news episode. If you haven't already liked, commented, but more importantly, subscribed and hit that bell for notifications, what are you doing here? Especially if you're a recurring listener or watcher of the channel, we'd appreciate that. Help your boys out. If we've been here for a while, we're grinding, but we do it out of love and joy for the game. And yeah, ultimately, we want to grow this conversation between crypto and Christians. So let's keep having it. So, as always, this is our news portion of the week. And to kick things off, this is something that I pay attention to because I think if you are in a certain threshold of crypto in terms of being a buyer, you are able to acquire crypto at a discount price because of lawsuits or Bitcoin or cryptocurrency being used for illegal means. You're able to take advantage of the system in some way, shape, or form. Coinbase buying, not necessarily buying, but broaching the subject of purchasing FTX Europe operation. You guys know how I feel about this, and I've kind of talked about like government auctions and things like for crypto or Bitcoin that's been used maliciously. And if you have access to those capabilities of buying out those entities, you're essentially buying crypto at a discount price if you're able to buy it with for the right price tag. So it's like Bitcoin that's been obtained by the FBI because it was used on Silk Road or something like that. Like they put that stuff, and I'm not saying Silk Road Bitcoin's getting put up for auction, but there are people who have access to these government auctions that can buy crypto at a almost discount price, and and I guess that goes with anything when you can be a buyer who buys something in bulk, because that's essentially what it is, right? It's buying in bulk, but you got to have the right seller. So in this instance, Coinbase is the right buyer, and the whatever firm that's holding FTX Europe is the right seller, and Coinbase has the right price.
Yeah, that makes sense. Coinbase is one of the few companies that I would say has basically remained through this whole downturn almost unscathed, and they're the prime candidates to be buying these companies up.
They're stable.
You got to hand it to Brian Armstrong. He's definitely navigated this market well.
But yeah, that's essentially it. And I know you guys are probably don't have many opinions about that, but it just interests me. I'd like to be flying the wall for those conversations just to know how they go, or at least talk to somebody about it someday that has more information about it than I do.
Yeah, I'm still just flabbergasted that Binance has taken such a hard hit. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, Binance stuff as well. Sorry, I just wanted to throw in as well. In addition to buying these corporations or Bitcoin that was used for laundering and seized by the government. I've also heard a lot of people talk about just over-the-counter OTC trades, just in huge amounts. Whatever. Again, just to reiterate what Brandon's saying, the more capital you have, you can buy huge things at discounts, and at that point, you're not even moving the market price.
Yeah, it takes longer in crypto for the market to even realize that, and honestly though, I'd prefer to buy Bitcoin if I could buy Bitcoin from somebody who is willing to just sell me Bitcoin without having to go through an exchange.
Yeah,
hit me up at Brandon Tim. We can have that conversation. But
yeah, totally.
I need to see some proof. I don't want to just be stuck with some anon and then in a bad situation. But I'm looking for a source, to be candid.
Another result of this situation we're in now with the bear market and with all the regulatory crackdown that's happened is the existence of non-KYC exchanges has basically disappeared entirely. I'm not going to say what I was doing on the last run, but my money has shifted from exchange to exchange to exchange a number of times, and I'm at the point where it's okay, there's no other option but DeFi, if you're in the space already.
Yep.
But
Yeah, and there's some new dexes being developed too that are pretty DeFi based that I've encountered, but I'm nothing that I'm willing to shill at all because I'm still feeling a lot. I'm still feeling a lot of things out, as I'm sure Mark Cuban is today. Apparently, he lost about $1 million or 870K
yeah,
from MetaMask wallet hack. I
yeah,
shouldn't
He
laugh.
lost a he lost a bunch like a year or two ago, right? It was some what was it?
Coin,
It was like iron something, like I don't know if it was a stable coin or whatever it
yeah.
was.
Well,
Yeah,
I think crypto is just his. I think crypto is just his weakness. He sees a risky asset, and he's like, instead of gambling or putting more money in the Dallas Mavericks, he's like, or Shark Tank, he's like, yep, that
yeah,
crypto, that's the one I'm getting today, or that NFT. He can do it. He can burn money. Like that's good for him, and Mr. Wonderful and all those other commercialized billionaires who dabbled in crypto and were boys with FTX and Bankman Fried, like whatever, like you know what I mean? Like if you want to burn money,
yeah.
good, cool. Like, yeah.
This is kind of interesting. I was just looking up because I do remember that he also was hacked or he lost a bunch of money at some previous time. But regarding this current one, so he lost 870,000 worth of coins. But just looking at what was in his wallet, they're saying, all right, so this doesn't have a lot, but stable coins, super rare, and ENS tokens. So I'm
The
kind of
ENS.
curious now. Like, I want to dive in to see what other tokens he was holding because right off the bat, like ENS alone is like, okay, that's a great token. So just to see what he was accumulating, especially in this time,
yeah.
Yeah, he had
super rare is a good one too.
yeah, significant loss in USDC, Polygon, and Lido stake ETH.
Hmm.
So who knows what you're exposing yourself to with Lido either sometimes, because I know
Yeah.
that information can sometimes get leaked, right?
I mean, I hope not. If that's the case, that sucks.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't heard that Lido.
I
I
don't
have
know. You
heard. Speaking of Lido, I don't know how recent this was, but I saw it come up on Twitter. Apparently, Lido, maybe Rocket Pool, some of the big ETH stakers have come out with an agreement. Like they all agreed to not have, I think it was 20 or 22%. Um, the goal was so that no individual organization would stake more than 20%. They didn't want the entire ETH stake to become too centralized.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say there?
Well, I mean, if it's a pact, if you can keep it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly, it was just an agreement between some of these large organizations. But I thought it was interesting that they recognize how easy it would be for one of them to, kind of overpower the others. And they're at least calling to, be decentralized. And then Chris Black, unrelated to that, had also recently, publicized the fact that Bitcoin mining, the two largest pools make up more than 50% of the mining power. So if, they were to collude together, you'd have, you'd run the risk of a 51% attack.
Oh wow, I
That
didn't
they,
see this.
yeah. And so there are mining pools. So like people can individually contribute to them and then they could decide to contribute to other ones. But, especially with mining, you'd want to contribute to a big one because then you are successful more frequently and then you get paid more frequently. Anyway, yeah, I saw Chris Black shared that recently.
What's interesting is like these mining pools are essentially BlackRock. Like it's the same thing, right? It's like, oh, BlackRock owns everything. Well, okay, but technically it's everybody's retirement accounts, right? But it's like
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Like this is exactly, yeah. So it's like who's running the mining pool?
But if I had enough money and I wanted to invest in a miner pool and like get a state of the art, like generate energy generation facility, multiple sources of just top of the line, energy generations, renewables, things like that. Like that's ultimately what it comes down to, right? With Bitcoin mining is like who can allocate the most energy to successfully compute that, right? That's how the block gets mined, or the miner gets chosen, right? Is who has the most accessible energy.
Yeah, whoever guesses the next hash correctly.
Well,
which,
it's really
the more energy, the more computations you have.
Okay.
But so you're right. If you wanted to make a company, and so I think the Connor's point is that BlackRock, I don't know if they're a majority shareholder, but they hold a good percent of a lot of Bitcoin mining companies.
Riot and Marathon.
Whether it's Riot, yeah.
Well, that was
the point you were trying to make, Connor.
That wasn't my point, but that's
okay.
That's good to know as well. My point was just that
we should do an episode where we look at the top funds that hold those companies.
We should see if we could get Pierre Rochard on here. He's he's at Riot. He's Catholic as well. So Pierre, if you're listening to this, we want you.
Jeez,
we'd love to talk about mining.
Yeah, no, I would love to talk to somebody from Riot. They're the gold medal standard in terms of the what you can invest in terms of regular stocks. Although there are things I like about Marathon a little bit better, but Riot is probably the most popular.
But sorry, let me just quickly clarify this to go back to the Bitcoin mining thing. But so Bitcoin, these mining pools, there was some institution that is running the mining pool. Am I correct in that understanding?
I guess I don't know exactly who it is that like hosts that pool, and then is in charge of actually putting the block out there and stuff like that. Yeah, I haven't dug it deep enough into those.
Okay, because I didn't want to missay that if like I misunderstood, but I just realized I don't actually fully understand how mining pools work probably. But my point was just that the accusations that people can levy against this is like, well, this mining pool basically controls the whole thing. It's like, well, the mining pool is actually a bunch of individual people, right, that are contributing to the mining pool. It's basically the same thing against BlackRock, though. BlackRock owns all these institutions, all these companies, and it's like, well, it's not really BlackRock. It's all the retirees, the individuals. It's like, but BlackRock, the institution, is making those decisions. So that's what I was curious to see if that same paradigm equates to mining pools. But
not to shift
gears.
So.
I think that's a good analogy. Sorry, go ahead. Shift gears.
So Sam Bankman-Fried is gonna be attempting bail until right? Like he's just gonna keep asking for it, and he's just gonna keep getting denied, right?
I don't know if he's gonna get denied, is he? But,
well, he did a second time.
Oh, interesting.
Because he appealed once. He appealed a second time. Just like today, it looks like, and he got denied again.
Did you see the thing about his parents being involved?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Gosh, they've always been involved, though.
But FTX sued his parents, right? I think that's what I heard.
Those lawyers.
I don't know who sued who. No, I saw some conversation between like him and his dad, and asking to be paid more as a consultant. FTX, and I don't know, just
whatever.
Family business,
Yep. No, truly. I mean, if you look at the politics behind all of it and the way that dude, his parents are like a shell company for him.
FTX sued his parents. So just to clarify that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here.
And then not to dig. Oh no, go for it. I was gonna go off that.
Well, I was just want to talk about YouTube teasing AI features to roll out in 2024, but we can do what you're saying.
No, sorry. I just wanted to say not to dredge up the old argument, but not just a family business. FTX was also very SBF. I think Caroline as well. They were both MIT grads, and so I think the Gensler connection there. Gensler taught a blockchain course at MIT, so I don't know. I think the fall of FTX was the fall of the SEC's Gensler's in road.
Okay. But yes, I acknowledge that. But my thing is there's multiple contributing factors to this whole situation that we're in, and I have no doubt that part of it is that they don't like crypto, for the decentralized aspects. They like the control, I'm sure, and the fact that FTX failed and they lost their Trojan horse into the system in a way, tells them that, hey, we don't want Bitcoin, we don't want crypto to succeed because we don't have any access to influence over it anymore. But my argument, and let's talk about the FOMC, because we're looking at this and we're seeing that despite everybody wanting to say that Bitcoin's going to go on another bull run, things are not looking good macro wise. And the FOMC basically proved that. So Bitcoin had a major pullback. And the reason why, I don't know, I guess people thought that the FOMC was going to reverse gears and it was going to, start laxing things. And it's basically proven that's not going to be the case. And we're probably going to see another a rate hike here in the near future, at least one more. And, things aren't going to reverse for some time. So, and with inflation, with all these things that are kind of coming to fruition, like you have to look at the state of things and realize that the reason we're in this inflation cycle is because, yes, they gave out a lot of not bailouts, but they cut checks to everybody, right? Plus, there's a lot of extra money that was fed to businesses, to help keep them afloat and, all sorts of things. So money was injected to the economy in that sense. But what really caused things to go out of control is people taking that money and then investing into risk markets, which creates bubbles of it just prints cash like crazy. So even though there's not cash being printed, people have more dollars in their pockets because the Bitcoin price went up and because Ethereum went up and because, the stock market went up. So that's like compounds the situation in like an unmanageable way. So yeah, I mean, the Fed has to be looking at the state of things and being like, we cannot have another bull market, not just in Bitcoin and crypto, but also in the stock market, also in real estate, also in anything. They don't want valuations to go up because that's going to be bad for bringing inflation down. So maybe it's not the SEC that's controlling that. Maybe they don't talk, but the Fed has to be looking at that and hoping that they do not create conditions that allow for there to be another bull market run in the near future.
Yeah. No, yeah. I do agree. I agree with the connection there, and which is fair. I bet they're looking at that. I know last week we were arguing about whether or not the ETFs will be approved, but I think it is good to note when we look at the crypto market. There's an article that came out recently about 95% of NFTs are worthless now, and things like that. I do think some of the bubble has popped. Maybe, I don't know if all the bubble has popped, but I don't know, unless we see something like Binance going down, I don't know. I think Bitcoin might have hit the bottom already. I don't know that it'll keep losing value. But you're right. And I was reading, someone was talking about how when the Fed keeps interest rates so high, that's the rate of treasury bonds as well. And so people are going to, the Fed will keep sucking liquidity out of the stock market and other places because people will say, oh, I can get 5%, guaranteed 5% here. That's better than my things else. It'll be interesting. I was kind of surprised that they didn't raise rates, that they paused, but you're right. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a rise.
Buy I-bonds. Buy I-bonds, right?
Is that our investment advice?
Well, I-bonds are one thing and T-bonds are other things, but
you can only do $10,000. You can only do $10,000 a year, so it's not like you're going to get rich off of them, but it is free money from the government. It's free
true.
interest.
Yeah, but I do think I-bonds follow inflation. And
yes,
even though inflation is still kind of hot right now, and obviously prices aren't going down, they're just going up more slowly. So when inflation goes down, right? I think the treasury bond yields are well above the inflation rate. The inflation rate was 3-something percent.
3 to 5%.
I think T-bonds are more than 5%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, sorry, not investment advice, but definitely look at both rates.
It's something to think about if you want to get something that'll actually get you a return this year. That's an option.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I know we didn't hit the YouTube AI thing. I don't know anything about that, but that's interesting. So
I'll send
that
you
should
the
be on our
link.
radar. Yeah, let's
They're going to be
get
they're
that.
going to be injecting Google's AI assistant Bard into the YouTube stuff. So kind of interesting. I can send you the link about the story that I found and the background on Bard. I'm sure y'all have heard much about it. Bard was created in response to OpenAI's Chat GPT. That was Google's response to that. I'm assuming a lot of these guys had these AI things in their back pocket. They just hadn't turned on all the lights. But yeah, something to look into and look forward to in 2024 if you're a YouTube creator, I suppose. There's our little AI nugget just to sprinkle that in for the algo.
Very cool.
Yeah, speaking of the algo, I wonder. I haven't used Bard, but one of the nice things about like ChatGPT versus Google is like it better understands what you're actually asking. Where Google, it's
Interesting.
like you're getting the top search terms, and so I do wonder. Like I think it'd be great for YouTube, right? I feel like so often
Yeah.
I'm looking
Yep.
for a certain type of video, and people game the algorithm, and so I keep seeing not the ones I want to see at the top. So if it
Yep.
could understand what I'm looking for, that might be
No,
be
yeah.
helpful.
Power to the smaller channels and creators. So
Yeah.
I feel like we've done a pretty good job of dominating, our search terms for the most part. But
Yeah.
even for us, it's like how many people are searching like crypto conversion consistently. It's like it's probably us three and our biggest
God.
fan, Chad. So we'll
Shout out to Chad.
we'll keep on fighting the good fight, doing our thing. But yeah, well, for those of you listening to the podcast, we're gonna get into the episode. Matt unfortunately wasn't unable to join us, but hopefully you got your your weekly dose of Matt in this news section, and we look forward to sharing with you our episode with Mr. Jim Kreider. So everybody have a great rest of your week. Peace.